All right, good morning, everyone. It's Thursday, July 8th, 2021, and we're going to get started with our pre-market analysis here for the S&P 500 futures market. I was not here yesterday, so what we're going to do for our study session today after our trading this morning, we're going to look back to yesterday and do kind of a morning analysis and see how that analysis ended up working out. I kind of looked at the charts when I had a chance yesterday, but really was not here. So it'll be cool to kind of do a morning analysis on yesterday's market and then actually see how that panned out. So we'll do that in the study session. So for this morning, let's go ahead and jump to our ultra high time frames here. Just see if anything has changed. Quarterly looks strong, no indications of exhaustion. Monthly, essentially the same thing, but you can see with the sell-off that we had in the overnight session that this bar that was up here around 43.53 has now started to come down. We have a huge wick on the upside. Plenty of time for this bar to change and the signal to change. So right now we're going to go ahead and say that these ultra-high time frames are still looking pretty strong. And then when we get to our weekly here, we talked on Tuesday about how we have pushed up higher here and we no longer have any indications of exhaustion, at least for right now. So all three ultra high time frames looking strong. When we get to the daily, this is where we have a very clear bearish indication off of yesterday's high, and that actually occurred about an hour or two just before the close yesterday. And so when we did close on that bar, we have a bearish indication here on the daily. And I mean, just look what happened here in the overnight. We're going to see a number of bearish indications up here. So really this sell-off that we got in Globex and the overnight session basically was expected. So the daily has that bearish indication. And then remember, when we went up to the monthly, a pretty bearish looking bar. And then on the weekly right now, we do have today and tomorrow, and this bar will close. But that is starting to look fairly bearish. Now, if we break lower and we break the low of the previous week at 64.25, we'll now have a bearish engulfing candle. So not too good. Even though the signal right now does not indicate exhaustion, the candlesticks definitely are indicating some bearishness right there. So this, let's go back. This daily confirmed a bearish signal here. Our 4-hour again had a bearish signal off the same high there at 53.25. Previous daily high, also our new all-time high. And on the sell-off here, I got to the charts and was looking at this bar late last night, and there was what looked to be a potential bullish indication right here. Of course, we could have pushed all the way down to that previous daily low at 20.25, and we'd still have it. So over the course of the night, you could have kept redrawing this until it got right to 30.25, and then once it broke, we didn't have that indication anymore. So far, from a bullish perspective, you could potentially extrapolate all the way back to the lows we made down here and make an argument that, oh, well, we pushed higher in price, but we pushed much lower here on RVI. Again, that's not necessarily the type of stuff I like to do. I don't see anything in the local area here that gives me a lot of confidence. We do have a swing low from June 30th here that I'd feel a lot more comfortable looking at and comparing to, and that has a little bit of a bullish indication, but nothing in here that gives me a lot of confidence. If we do get some indications on the shorter time frames over here, then maybe that would make this look a little clearer. But right now on the 4-hour, the most important thing I'm seeing is that bearish indication from the previous daily high. 60-minute, there's that bearish indication from, it looks like when we got to the previous daily high, it was also right there as well. I just did not mark it. So we did get the bearish indication, and then soon after that, when we tried to push a little bit higher, we got another bearish indication there. So there were two indications. And so right off the previous daily high, 53.25, 60-minute also had the bearish indication. And then right now, let me just check the RVI values on this bar. So 21.8 and 21.8. So we did have a bullish indication here. So remember, on the 4-hour, it's not necessarily a nice clean signal, but the 1 hour definitely confirmed a bullish divergence there off the overnight low here. So we will see if the shorter time frames agree. Outside of that, nothing else to really point out here. Actually, there's one thing. If we look at the low of June 20th going into the June 21st here, I think that is a pretty nice, clear low in the market. You can see back here a pretty clean low that pushed up to the high we made on about June 15th there. And then we got a pretty nice sell-off, and then a nice, what I consider kind of like that V-shaped recovery type situation. And so from that low up to the current high, I like this as a Fibonacci leg. And you can see that the 38% retracement would bring us right back into this 42.6475, which was a decent support and resistance zone that I marked. Let's see here, how long ago now? All the way back on June 25th, so a little over a week ago. And so that could come into play this morning. I do like that it is lining up with a nice 38% retracement of the leg. So there's that right there. But overall, we're still kind of the bearish indication from the all-time high. A decent bullish indication off of the overnight low. So let's go to our intermediate time frames and see if we get agreement here in the overnight. So off of that overnight low, really nice bullish divergence. You can see it right here. In fact, let me delete that. So you can see that the indicator that I'm now using to automatically identify divergences has identified that setup, and that will become a solid bar or a solid line. Once it confirms, I guess this next bar is going to have to close up here in order for that to become a solid line. But we do have it identified here. So a number of time frames are starting to show a nice bullish indication off the low. But we also do have, and this was actually identified by the indicator that I just got, a bearish indication off the all-time high here. So a lot more agreement off of the all-time high for bearishness. We have some of the time frames giving us a bullish indication right now off of the overnight low. So that's on the 30-minute here, and the 10-minute I think pretty much agrees. So there you go. It got a confirmation and actually closed with the indicator, and there's the arrow showing that the trigger occurred. So we do have a nice agreement here off the overnight low. But then if you look back to the all-time high from yesterday, again, a bearish indication as well. So every single time frame is giving a bearish indication off of the all-time high and previous daily high. Let me just look at the 3-minute here. And the 3-minute as well has all those bearish indications off of the highs of the yesterday's market. And then here we are, and this is what I'm talking about with the indicator so far. It doesn't necessarily see this setup, but I definitely see this push to a lower low, to the overnight low, but a push to a higher low here on the indicator. So a number of the shorter time frames are showing the bullish indication off the overnight low. It's just that the high time frames don't show that indication. So let's just jump back really quickly here. The 60-minute has a clear bullish divergence. The 4-hour, in my opinion, is not giving anything too sexy as far as that goes. And the daily also, in my opinion, well, actually I might have to eat my words here. we are actually getting a little bit of that daily bullishness right here. So we came just a little lower, and so this low here so basically the low of June 30th at 69.25, we could push all the way to 69.25 here, and we would still have the bullish indication on the daily. So this daily one is not necessarily the most beautiful setup. It has not closed and given us something like we see here on the 60-minute. But I think that there's an argument to be made that there is some bullishness if we stay above 69.25. So that might be our line in the sand. You look back here, June 30th, there's 69.25 here. At least I think I'm on the right area. Yeah. So this is a 69.25 low from June 30th. And then if you wanted to kind of do the same argument here, you could say that as long as we stay above 69.25 or above where we are right now, you could see that there is definitely some bullish divergence. So that's kind of where we are for the morning. We are going to have to stay above 69.25 in order for all the bullish indications that we have to hold. Otherwise, we could break that and see a little bit more of a sell-off here. And if we can get above, let's just take a look at this whole push down from a higher time frame. And just take a look from the all-time high, or the previous daily high up here, to the low that we made in the overnight. It looks like pretty much if we can get above the previous daily low, right around 1950 to 43.20 here, and you can see that swing low back here, right? So that I think is the previous daily low. Nice swing low there and a bounce off that level. We haven't come back to test that. So if we can push up and get through that low, and not only just peek through but actually start to trade above it, that would give us a more bullish indication for the morning and would confirm what we see here off of the overnight low. But if we can't get through there, and if they peak up and then they sell off, or they just cannot make it that high up and we start to break lower here, then breaking that overnight low and getting through 69.25 is going to give a much more bearish look to the rest of the day. So hopefully that helps give you guys some guidelines on what we're looking at here. We don't necessarily have a nice clear picture for the open, and I say that because had we had a setup like we had off the previous daily high, like right now, like if we opened our charts and we saw everything setting up bearish off this high here, and none of this happened on the right hand side, then yes, we would have a very clear picture that we can expect lower going into the future. But right now, because we have such a strong bearish indication and somewhat of a strong bullish indication from the lows here, it's going to be a little bit of a battle. And like I said, this swing low, or the previous daily low at 30.25 here, that's going to be very important to break through in order for this bullish potential setup on almost all time frames down here to actually confirm. So that's where I'll leave it.